My sister is getting married, so let's build her a website that's going to showcase the information about the wedding and allow people to RSVP. Now, while this example is actually quite simple, the same tools and process that I'm going to show you in this video are the same ones that professional web designers use to build complex websites that they charge 4 and 5 figures for. These days, the amount of tools to build websites is overwhelming. And some of these tools are actually quite easy to learn, tools like Wix and Squarespace. However, they are easy to learn because they make the process a little bit too simplistic, and that leaves you with a generic website. Definitely not something that you can use on complex, interesting projects. The tools that I'm going to be using in this video are Relume, which we'll use to plan out the content, turn it into wireframe, and even select the look and feel for the website. Then we're going to export this into Webflow, where we will build all of the additional functionality, add interactions, make sure the website is responsive, and publish the website. Now, some of you might mention that Webflow also has their own AI site builder, and if we're just going to get started in Webflow, that's going to be easier, and it is. However, just like I said about Wix and Squarespace, I feel like we're going to end up with a too shallow of a template. Now, I personally think that using Relume to plan out the content and wireframing is a crucial step, and that's actually what's going to separate amateurs from professionals. So let's build websites the right way. It's going to be super fun. Let's do it. So I've got a new Relume project and I'm starting from the sitemap you can see here at the top. Then we'll be moving to wireframes and a style guide. A sitemap is basically the structure of a website, what pages you want and what kind of content sections you're going to have on the website. You can think about this like an architectural plan of the website. Now, if I know already how many pages and what I want to have, I can go ahead and manually create it. However, if I'm not sure and I want some help, then Relume has this AI sitemap creator to help me think through the content of this website. So I can put here a prompt. In this case, let's try invitation to Mickey and Nom's wedding, including details about the wedding, location, and RSVP. I can't actually specify just a single page, so it's 1 to 5, and then English, and then generate a sitemap. So let's see what's happening. So you can see for the homepage, it already created the different sections in what kind of content we're going to have on each section. And then it also suggested additional pages, wedding details, location, RSVP. Now, in this case, maybe that's good for the project that you're working on. I specifically want just a single page with all of the information. So I'm going to go here and start editing this. I'm going to delete these pages that I don't need. I'm just going to click the 3 dots and then delete. Now for the sections, let's go through this. And there's a little bit of a specifically, Relume is built for, business websites. So in this case, you can see by the name of the sections like features list and testimonials. I'm not sure it would necessarily make sense for a wedding website, but I might edit this. So let's see what it suggested and then what kind of changes we want to do. So nav bar, navigation at the top and footer at the bottom. This is the basic structure of any website. So we're always going to have that. And then a hero section. Hero is always the section at the top. This one is a welcome message and introduction to Miki and Noam's wedding with a beautiful image of the couple. That actually sounds pretty cool. And then feature list section, 3 key highlights, wedding dates, time, venue, RSVP instruction. That's also sounds pretty good. Testimonial section, quotes from friends and family expressing their joy and excitement for the couple. Maybe, I specifically don't want this, but that could be a good idea. So I'm just going to select this and hit backspace just to delete it. Of course, I can also right click and delete. Let's see, what is this? Services section. Information about wedding related services such as catering, photography, and music. Definitely do not need this. I'm going to hit backspace to delete this. Call to action, CTA stands for call to action. Basically, what do we want people to do? Encourage visitors to RSVP for the wedding. This is exactly what I want, although I do want this to be at the end because, usually people read through a website, then they get to the end and choose what they want to do. So I'm going to click and drag this to the bottom of the page where I want people to do this. FAQ section, common questions about the wedding. No, I don't want this. About section, background story of how Mickey and Noam met and their journey together. That actually sounds pretty cool. Specifically, I'm not sure. Yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's just put this as the second one. So we've got a welcome, then we'll have the background story, then we'll have the key highlights. I also want another section I do want a gallery with some photos, so I'm going to hit the plus here between them, and then I'm going to have all of the different section options that I can add here. And I'm going to scroll through this. We've got a lot of types of contents here, and I'm going to choose gallery. So gallery, display gallery of image relating to the provided or service. Let's just say images of Mickey and Noam. And maybe another section just about the location, how to get there, maybe like a map or something like this. I'm going to hit the plus again. And there's actually nothing here with location, if I remember correctly. But maybe in the contact, a lot of time in contact, there's like maps and stuff like this. So I'm just going to hit the contact. I'm going to write here about the location and then how to get there. Okay, I think I'm happy with this structure of the page. Now, if I was working on a client project, I might want to share this with them. So to get feedback, hey, are you happy with this is going to be the structure of the homepage or other pages? I can do this by clicking the share here and then sharing a link with them, and they'll be able to comment and we can have a discussion. Right now, I'm working on this on my own, so no problem. I can go ahead and move into the next step, the wireframing. So I'm going to click the wireframe here and I'm going to move into the next step. Now, wireframing is what we call a low fidelity design. What does that mean? It means that this is a design without colors, without images, just for us to understand what kind of content and layouts we have and take a look at the text. And as you can see, Relume has already gave us suggestions in terms of what layout to use. For example, here we have a text left aligned on an image. Here we've got text on the left and an image on the right. It also wrote a copy for us. Now, of course, we can double click this and we can change the text if it doesn't work for us, but it already gave us a really, a great place to start with, and this saves so much time. So it gave us the whole page here, and again, this is just the beginning. Now, I can click each one of these components, for example, the navigation, and you can see I have here replace component. So now Relume is going to suggest me a lot of different layouts and options for the text. We can have the logo in the center, we can have the logo on the left side, we can have the, the navigation centered, or it can be right aligned. Actually, I like this one. I like it when the navigation is in the center and then the logo on the left. Logo, we'll have to think about this, probably just write Mickey and Noam. Menu here. So let's double click this. This is going to be a button for RSVP, which is just going to scroll us down the page where we can do the RSVP. Now, and this is going to be kind of like internal scrolling. So you can scroll down maybe into the event details, maybe into the location, and actually maybe the first one should be their story, right? We're going to have their story. So I'm just going to grab this to be the first, event details, location. We don't need the last one. So I'm happy with this navigation. Now let's look at this hero section. Now, we might be happy with this. Again, I can go ahead and play around with if I want to have an image or a video, maybe I want a button, or maybe I want the RSVP here at the top. I'm just going to replace this component and let's play around with this. I do want something centered aligned like this. Yeah, I think a lot of time in wedding invitation, the text is aligned in the center. So I think this is going to be a nice layout, a big, nice image of them here. Of course, we can go ahead and redo the text. I can also ask Relume to rewrite this shorter or longer or whatever I want. I'm not going to bother about this because obviously you understand how to do this on your own. I don't need two buttons here, so I'm going to select the Learn More, and let's just delete the Learn More. Yeah, RSVP is enough. Although we do have RSVP here, it's good to have another one, call to action. Yeah, let's just drive them to RSVP. Here, our love story. So this is basically the story, I guess. I don't think we need more buttons here, so I'm going to delete the buttons. Actually, just delete them. And let's see what other layouts we have here for the story. Maybe we have something a little bit more interesting. Actually, let's go with something like this, because we're going to have an image at the top. We're going to have a gallery below, so maybe we don't need that many images. Okay, so I'm happy with this. I'm going to delete the buttons. Don't need the buttons. So this section looks good. Now this is this is actually the event details, right? So I'm just going to write here event details. And this is going to be basically the date. I'm just going to write here the date. And this is going to be the location. and this is going to be dress code because this is what I want, right? We can rewrite the text, of course, later on with more information. Actually, I think it would look good with a little bit of a longer text. So I can ask AI to write, and then I can do make longer, right? And let's see. Yeah, this looks better when it's a paragraph that's like 3 lines. I feel it looks a little bit more robust this way. So let's replace all of these and then ask AI to rewrite, make it longer. I'm going to get rid of the buttons because there is no learn more here. So I'm just going to delete, delete, delete. Okay, happy with this. We'll see what we're going to do with the design of the icons later on. Let's look at this. So this is the gallery. Yeah, we can have this gallery, but I don't really feel this layout. Let's look for a different component, maybe something a little bit more interesting. Maybe this one. This one can feel a little bit like a nice composition, photo memories. Okay, this is the location. It's good. It's with the map, and map is what I wanted. I'm probably going to change this from email to maybe like with a car. Maybe I want, you know, with a train, how to get there. Maybe like open in Google Maps or something like this, right? And we can, of course, edit all of these stuff later on. Lastly, join us for the celebration. Here I actually need the form. So let's see if I have a different form. Let's see if we have some kind of a form component here. So I'm just going to search for form because this is what we need. And let's see if I'm getting a form. Okay, so yeah, we're getting this form, this form. Yeah, this is actually a good form. It's a simple form. I also would like probably like a drop-down menu where you can select how many people are coming, but we're going to do that later on in Webflow. So I'm just going to write here RSVP. I don't know if we need like a tagline. Of course, we're going to, yeah, you can edit the text later on. Okay, so this is going to be the form. And for a footer, this is for a way bigger website than what we need. So we can go for something way simpler here. Yeah, something like this is going to be great. Okay, so I feel like we have finished the wireframe. I feel like we're happy with the content, the structure, and basically the layout here. And now it's time for us to go ahead and experiment with a little bit of a look and feel for this. So I'm heading into the style guide, which is a new and cool feature from Relume. And basically this lets us very, very quickly experiment with different types of color scheme, of typography, and just experiment with different look and feel. So already you can see it gave us a little bit of color and put some images. Already this feels like a website and not like a wireframe anymore, right? So let's see what we have here. The first thing I actually want to do is I want to replace the images with actual images of Mickey and Noms, just so that we can actually feel this like how it's going to look like. So right here in the preview, you can see I have this little icon of edit image, and I'm just going to upload my own images. And I do have here some images. So let's just pick something. I feel like, yeah, this is probably solid for a hero. And let's choose that. Upload that. Can already tell this color scheme is not going to work for, well, actually, you know what? Let's see. Okay, for these images here, let's go ahead and replace them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a bunch of different images, you know, here. Let's just see how it looks. Just select random images. Of course, we can always finalize and make final choices later down the line, but I feel like, yeah, I feel like this is pretty solid. Okay, images are uploaded, and now, okay, so now let's tackle, first of all, we've got the color scheme, and then we've got the typography and a little bit of UI style. So for the colors, the first thing we can do is just shuffle and just experiment with different palettes. But I want to tell you the truth. I'm just looking at how this looks like. 3 colors plus black and whites for a wedding photography feels like too much a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to get rid of them. I just want like very clean, maybe just like with 1 color. And let's see how that would look like. So I'm just generating random colors. Now I have this palette here, by the way, and we've got also light theme and dark theme. And the default here was night theme or dark theme, but now it's light. already this feels much better in terms, for me at least, in terms of color scheme. Now you can also see here, I can go ahead and click. And if I click, it basically gives me different variations of this color palette. So I can have this one as white, this one as a little bit of a pale, maybe this one, let's make this one darker. Maybe the dark blue. Yeah, this is actually pretty solid. This can be white. Actually, I'm happy with how this, maybe this will do this like a light blue. Okay. So now this actually feels pretty good. I'm not sure about the color. I can go ahead and shuffle up a few more times. I do feel like it's nice that it's kind of like subtle, and because the images have a lot of green in them. Actually here, this greenish tone, actually not bad. And if I want to refine this even further, I can click on the color itself and then maybe take it to a little bit more greenish like this. Okay, so this feels much better to me. So again, I suck at colors, and this just makes things so much easier for me just to get like good suggestions to get started with and make sure I don't do anything wrong, because the most basic mistake I see beginners make is just picking colors that, you know, are not contrasted. It's difficult to read the text. They don't work well together. So the fact that Relume is a really simplified color selection for me just is a huge time saver. All right, let's go for a look at the typography. This is pretty bold. I'm not saying that it can't work for a wedding, but I have like a little bit more like an elegant vibe to this website that I want. So let's pick the heading. Now it asks me of the different types of, you know, styles that I want. And I think I'm going to go with serif. Feels a little bit more elegant. Now, like a font from serif. So which one do I like? Let's like this one, player for display, and then get recommendations. So already gives me a recommendation from free Google fonts that I will be able to use for free on my website. And actually, even below here, we've got collections and we've got like elegant, which is what I'm looking for. So let's check out the elegant collection. And now I've got a little bit of choices, actually a lot of choices. And I can click through them and start seeing how they look right here in the preview. And this actually looks pretty good. You know what? I'm not even going to try different things because I actually like this. Now for the body, which is the smaller text, we've got this space gray text, which actually looks a little bit technical. I don't know if it's maybe for a tech company that feels good, but for this website, let's look for something a little cleaner. Maybe this public stance, just a little bit cleaner. Yeah, I feel like it's good. Now I also have this small normal. So let's experiment with this. Small text, large, regular, large text. Actually looking at this right now, I actually like the large one best, although I don't like that we have a single word here, so I might change the text a little bit later. But in terms of design, I actually like the large one best. In terms of weight, I can make this, I guess, bolder, but I actually like the way that it is here. And we also have style, like you can space out the letters, we can make it uppercase. Ooh, this actually looks nice, uppercase. So let's go with this. So I'm going to stay with this. Yeah, type looks much nicer now. So I'm liking this. Let's see what else do I have here. So we've got the buttons, whether I want buttons to be like with an outline, with kind of like a shady. What is slick? Slick. Let's go with slick rather than elevated. No, I'm just going to go with the slick. Card and images. Oh, we also have, by the way, the round corners. So you can see here we've got a little bit of a round corner here. I can go with a much bigger round corner. And I actually think this is nice. I like these round corners. Everything here looks very cute, actually. So you know what? I think that at this point, I like this concept. But the way professional designers always work is not just making a one design and then going with it. They always explore multiple ideas. Also, a lot of times they like to show clients multiple different ideas to pick from. So right now we've got this, and this is concept number one. And you can see here I can pitch concepts and I can review or compare a few different concepts. So let's go here and let's actually go ahead and create a new concept. So let's try something else just to see, you know, if we can get something even better. And I'm going to have to upload the images again, which is a little bit tedious. Okay. So let's just choose something else just so that we can, yeah, maybe it looks a little bit different, right? So I'm just going to do that. Let's replace the photos here as well and see what we're getting. This one we had already. Okay. So this time, let's try to do something with a little bit more colors, right? The previous palette was just like a single color palette. Let's see what we can do with something else. I still feel like we need this to be like a light color versus like a dark website. Let's play around. Let's shuffle. Maybe these kind of like pastel colors can look nicer. So let's click here to play around with this peach and purple. It's a little bit too much. Oh, this is actually quite nice. No, I would keep this like maybe light, and this can be maybe white, and this is okay. Okay, maybe we'll do this darker or something. Yeah, okay. Now I feel like we've got enough contrast and interest as we're scrolling in here. In terms of typography, maybe we do want to have like a different concept here. Let's see what we have under display. Display is fonts that look nicer when they're big. Maybe something like this, Abriel, fat face. Let's see if we can have something a little bit more interesting here. Hey, maybe this one, Gluck. That also looks pretty elegant, I would say. I would maybe want to space out the letters a little bit. Feels nicer. Okay. In here, maybe let's try buttons that are actually not round corners. Let's make it sharp, and let's make the images sharp as well. Just to see a little bit of a different vibe to this one. Okay, say I'm happy with this. I can now go back into Peach Concept and start debating this. I can go ahead and share this with my client if I want. I can get feedback. I can write a description for each one of the concepts. And this is how a real professional would actually work. In this case, I think I'm happy actually with the first version that we have created. So let's say the client or Mickey and Noam picked this version, and now let's take it to Webflow to fully develop it. Now, to export our website into Webflow, the first thing we need to do is to clone the Relume starter file. Now, I just want to say a quick word about Webflow. Webflow is a super powerful tool, and it does have a little bit of a learning curve. That's why we have a lot of video tutorials on Webflow. We even have a full-on course on Webflow. However, what I'm going to demonstrate right now requires almost zero understanding in Webflow, so you'll be able to follow along even if you have no background in Webflow. So fear nothing, right? So this starter guide from Relume also includes a style guide that is basically has all of the styles that we have created here in this style guide. So Relume is basically going to import everything here and then also the content itself. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we can open up here the Webflow apps and we can search for Relume, and then we can go ahead and install it on this website. Now, once that is happening, we will be able to see the website we've been working on. So Mickey and Noam's wedding, and I'm going to click this, and I will be able to see all of the different concepts, right? So we have concept 1 and concept 2. What I want to do is import concept 1. So continue, and then what kind of pages I want to import. I do want all pages, which is basically just a home page. So I'm going to start import, and this is going to take a few minutes to bring in all of the content into Webflow.
A few moments later.
Ba-bam! So the import is finished, and this took a couple of minutes, but it did save us 4 hours because basically usually takes about 30 minutes to build each section, and I can attest that this is true. This is really a huge time saver. So now that we've got the whole website inside of Webflow, let's see what it takes to really bring this website to conclusion to make sure that it's all functional and working. So let's start from the top, and we've got this navigation, we've got this logo here. So let's double click this. Now this is, you can see this is a green instance because this is a component. I'm not going to get into, as I said, deep Webflow stuff. So I'm just going to double click this so I can edit this. Now in this case, we have here like an image of a logo, and I actually don't want this. So I'm going to hit the backspace to delete this. And I'm actually just going to add like a little bit of a text block right here. And I'm just going to write here, Mickey and Noam. Yeah. And let me see if this is actually inside of, yeah, it's inside of the navbar logo link, which is where it should be. Now, I do want it to be kind of like in the style of the website. So as I've mentioned, we do have a style guide here. So already Relume has created all of these styles for us. And you can see here, I'm going to try to apply this style. And you can see here, this is called heading style H6. So let's go ahead and try to apply this style, which you can see here in the style panel right here. Let's try to apply this to our logo. So I'm going to, again, double click, choose this text, and under the styles, I'm just going to write H6. And here we go, heading style H6. It's this one, so I'm going to apply it. And immediately I have this text style here, which now it looks great. It looks like, looks like part of the website for now. Okay, next, I want to make sure that these buttons actually work. So I want the story button to take us to the story section, event details, location, and RSVP. Now to do that, we actually need to give each of these sections an ID so that we can connect it. So we can tell it, hey, scroll to that specific section. Now the way that we do this, so let's start with a story. I'm going to go here, let's say this is a story, and I'm going to open up the navigator. So you can see we have this section. Right now it's section layout 134. Under the settings panel, right here on the right, we have an ID. So let's call this story. I'm going to add an ID of story again. This right, this is great. For event details, I'm going to do the same, right? So I'm going to choose the next section and add an ID of details. And then what else do we have? Location maybe. So it's this section. Let's call this location. And then the last section, which is this one, let's call this section RSVP. So now these sections have different ideas, and I can go through here and I can edit the links. So I'm clicking this, and under the settings, here you can see where this is linking to. You can add a link, you can link to a different page. What we want to do is link to a section on the page. And I'm just going to go here. You can see we already have a little bit of names of different elements here. But what I want to link to is, this one is the story. So let's go to the story. Event details, let's do the same here. To details, location, let's do the same here for location. In RSVP, let's look for the link and choose the RSVP. Now let's test this. So I'm going to hit the preview button here, and I'm going to test the story, scrolling into the story. This is great. Event details is scrolling to the event details. Location, scrolling to the location. Perfect. RSVP is scrolling into the RSVP. This is fantastic. All right. We also probably need to connect to this button. So let's do the same here. Page section, RSVP. Okay. So now we've got a functioning navigation and buttons. The next thing we wanted to do is to replace these icons. Okay, so where are we going to get icons? I'm going to go to Icon Finder. That's my favorite place to get free icons super fast. So we can go here, and what was the icon? So first one is the date. So I'm going to search for date, and let's see. I want to look for free icons. I want to make sure they are outlined. That's the style that I want. And yeah, maybe this one is actually pretty good. Let's see what we need here. This is like a black icon. Yeah, so this icon can actually work as it is, right? So I can just click download SVG, and let's call this date. Let's also look for the other one. So we've got location and dress code. So location, let's look for location. Let's see what we have. This one looks good to me. So I'm going to choose this one and download an SVG. SVG means this is a vector, which means this is a small file. It means it's not going to be pixelated. So this is really great. Last one is dress code. So I'm just going to do a dress. And let's see if there's a dress here that I like. Yeah, maybe this one feels good. Let's download the SVG. And fantastic. Okay, in Webflow, I'm going to head into the Assets panel, which is right here. And I'm going to hit Upload. And on my desktop, I've got these 3 icons. I'm going to open them. And let's see them. Okay, they're all in here. So now I can just double click this icon and replace this one. The date, I can replace with the date. Location, I can replace with the location. And dress code, I'm going to replace with the dress. Okay, so event detail, this section also looks great. What else do we have here? Okay, lastly, we want to make sure that this form actually works. Okay, so first thing that I've noted is we want to have this drop-down menu where we can select how many people are coming. Let's actually see if in the style guide, maybe we already have a drop-down menu. We can just copy and paste because a lot of times we do have form elements in here. Let's scroll through this. There we go. So form elements. And we have text area, field label, form input. There's no... Here we go. So this is a select. This is called a select, like a drop-down menu. So I'm just going to click this. I'm going to copy this. So Command C to copy. I'm going to go back into the home page. And let's scroll here. And let's actually just click the form and paste it. Now I don't need this at the button. So let's see where it is. Let's see where it's pasted. Form input. Let's actually go ahead and after the, because you can see here we actually have a kind of like a group that holds together, a wrapper that holds together this input of what is this field and then the actual field. So let's copy one of these, copy this, and then delete this form input and inside put this thing. Just so that we can have this label, which we can write here, how many people will come. Probably don't need to capitalize this. And in the select element, I can, under the setting, I can choose the options, right? So maybe this one is going to say just one person, and the value is basically what it's going to send to us. So I do want this just to say one and send one, because of course this can mean different things. But for me, it's just going to be 2 and 2, 3 and 3, and 4 and 4. Maybe let's actually add another option, which is can't come or something like this, can't come. And the value is not coming. Okay. Now, you can see that these fields also have names. This is important because when we're going to get an email when somebody submits this form, this is what's going to tell us. It's going to return something like field 9, 2, because somebody submitted the value 2 under field 9. So here, let's call this, people, or how should we say this? Like people coming, maybe? People coming. That's okay. Let's see what the names of these fields are. Contact name now. I'm just going to write here name under email. Remove the contact one. So just email. This one we know, people coming. And this is going to be just message. I'm just going to remove the contact one. And then I don't need this terms and so I'm just going to delete this whole thing. We don't need this. Okay, so I think the form is ready. Actually, when I'm selecting the whole form here, under the setting, I can actually see, different settings here. First of all, what is the name of the form? I'm going to call this RSVP form. And I've got all of these form fields. That is correct. Now, this is what's going to happen when people submit this. Now, currently, we're doing something very simple, which is just sending us an email when somebody submits a form. Of course, we can do something more advanced to sync to like a database that checks if this person is invited and mark yes, no. We can do something more elaborate, but I'm keeping things really simple here. Just send an email. Right now, it's sending an email to myself, but of course, I can add here an email of clients or somebody else. So for now, just send an email to me when it's submitted. That's great. And we can see here success message. So this is what's going to look like after somebody submits. Thank you, submission has been received, or error. If for some reason something didn't work, of course, we can style and edit these. And yeah, I think the form is actually ready right now. Let's preview this just so that we can see. We can type here and we can choose here from the drop-down menu. So this is working, and we're going to try this in a minute. Of course, we can go ahead and adjust the footer as well, but you've basically seen how I've did that before. So it's more interesting to me to add a little bit of interactions to the website right now. So let's make this a little bit more like sexy, where things like fading in as we're loading and stuff like this. So the first thing I want to do is maybe pick this this whole text area. Now basically I can select just, this heading or this or the button, but you can see that they are grouped together inside of this. It's called max with large. That's basically the style, or basically this whole thing here is grouping the whole text together. So let's animate this. Here under the interactions, I can go ahead and create an element trigger or a page trigger. Basically we want, when the page is loading, or basically this gets into the view, we want this to fade in. So let's add something like scroll into view. Now this is actually not going to scroll into view because it's just going to be here when we're loading, but that's what we want to do right now. And what we can do when it's scrolling into the view, we can either create a custom animation, but we've got a lot of very cool ready-made animation for us. In this case, let's choose the slide, and you can preview. This is how it's going to animate from the left. Let's choose from the bottom. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, so I'm happy with this. And I also want to animate maybe this header image here. I'm going to do the same, but I want first the text and then the image. So let's add another scrolling to view to this slide from the bottom. But for this, I'm going to add like a 300 milliseconds delay to this. Let's see what happens now if I preview. So now you can see that we've got the text sliding in and then the image sliding in. And that's nice, right? That gives like a nice feel when we're loading this website. And we can go ahead and add more stuff. For example, here, let's make them trigger like scroll 1, 2, 3 when we're loading here. So let's do the same here. Element, when it's scrolling into view, slide up like we did previously. The first one doesn't need a delay, you can just go ahead and slide. Second one, let's add scrolling to view, slide from the bottom, and let's add a 30 milliseconds delay. And then the third one, let's pick the third one, scrolling to view, slide from the bottom, and let's do 600. So basically we'll have this one and then this one and then this one, and it will create kind of like a staggering effect. Let's see if this works. So let's preview this, and now we're scrolling and you see tuk tuk tuk. Maybe it was actually too early. Maybe we need to also give it a little bit of a delay to the first one. We can go ahead and play around with this forever, but as you can see, this is really nice, and it's really easy to add really cool effects and animations into our Webflow website. Lastly, I want to make sure that this looks great on mobile phones. And you can see right here at the bottom, we've got these different breakpoints. So this is desktop. We can go ahead to tablet, mobile portrait, and we can go ahead. Basically, everything should be fine because the Relume components are already responsive, and it does look pretty good. I can say, for example, well, I actually think this is a little bit too big. So I can go here into the styling and make changes. For example, the size is 48 pixels, maybe reduces to 35 or something like this. Now, it's not going to affect the text on desktop, but on mobile, it's going to be smaller. And this one as well. Let's do 32 for this one. Yeah, I think this looks much better. Okay, so with that, the design is ready, and we can go ahead and publish. I can go ahead, and Webflow is giving us a free domain. You can see it's a webflow.io domain. Of course, for a professional website, we're going to buy a hosting package and connect our custom domain, but this is already published. Now this is a fully functional website. You see wedding websites, Webflow.io, everything here works. We can also go ahead and test out the form, the RSVP form. Oh, by the way, we did not connect the map. That requires us to go to Google Maps and open up an account. I'm not going to do this right now, but it's pretty straightforward to connect the map as well. Let's do this name here, run test, and then email, not my real email.com. 3 people are going to come and, hey, I'm testing the form. All right, let's go ahead and see. Let's go check my email and see if this actually worked. On my email, I've got this email, Webflow form. You've received a new submission. You can see here that this is the RSVP form for wedding website. And you can see name, run test, email is here, people coming 3. Now you understand why it was important to give name to the form item so that we can understand what message people wrote where. So this is it. The form works, the website works, and we have successfully built a fully functional website super fast. I hope this video encourages you to build your first website. Of course, there's so much more to learn about web design to be able to create beautiful professional website, but the most important thing is that you actually get started. And when you're ready to level up, make sure you check out our full courses or our other videos on this channel. See you next time.